Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, October 27, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. As let us take a look at what the U.S. National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that area of possible tropical cyclone development to the east of Bermuda has regenerated back to tropical storm Tammy, and is still moving towards the northwest at this time at about 3 miles per hour, and is packing maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. So it should definitely miss Bermuda. We can also see that we have that area of possible tropical cyclone development across the southwestern Caribbean Sea, and it's now pointed to the direction of Jamaica, maybe even sections of the Cayman Islands or Haiti, even Cuba. They're definitely going to be in play for this system, which has now a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. According to the Hurricane Center, it states, an area of disturbed weather over the southwestern Caribbean Sea is associated with a broad area of low pressure. Environmental conditions could support some slow development of the system during the next several days while it moves slowly northward. So we see that now it has a 48-hour window and a 10% chance of becoming something within the next 2 days, and within the next 7 days, the next 168 hours, it has a 30% chance of development. So we just have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds. And as usual, these models from the Euro and the United States are showing some things completely different with each runs. The Euro model, we can see the moisture in green across the Caribbean for now. Skipping ahead in time, let's see exactly what unfolds. So we see that red L that represents the area of low pressure right there to the south of Jamaica. This is valid for about 4 a.m. on a Monday, and we see it right there to the south of Jamaica. That's on the Euro model, and then possibly making it across Jamaica into Monday night. What does the GFS show? First, let us look at what the 6Z GFS is showing, because all of these three model runs for today have been showing completely different things. So there's the green that represents rainfall across the south and central into the eastern Caribbean. And when we move out in time, we see that area of low pressure right there after the south of Jamaica. This is valid for 1 p.m. Sunday. Definitely probably a tropical depression or a low-end tropical storm by that time, moving towards the north, maybe sideswiping Jamaica to the east by the end of the day on Monday. What does the 12Z GFS show? Something different. Let's take out a look out in time. Look at that, we don't even see any L's this time, nothing at all to see, and this is valid for the end of the day on Monday. Nothing at all to see. What does the 18Z GFS show, the one that just came out a couple of minutes ago? We can see all of the green that represent moisture, and then we can see something similar to what the 12Z GFS was showing. Not much in terms of exactly what will be happening, and this is valid for the next couple of days. Either way, we still have a lot of moisture across the Caribbean, so there's definitely going to be some amount of rainfall in store to wrap up the month of October and head into early November across the Jamaica area, and we're indeed grateful for that, as long as there is not, some tremendous flooding taking place. As let's take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see tropical storm Tammy right there to the north of the eastern Caribbean, and we can see a trough as represented by those broken lines across portions of the northeastern Caribbean, and we saw the trough even better on the rainbow satellite images. Look at that deep convection, lots of thunderstorm activity stretching all the way from the windward to the leeward islands, especially sections of the leeward islands getting in on some very heavy weather at this time and more to come. Definitely some amount of flash flooding could be taking place as we speak into tonight and tomorrow. We can also see it even better on the visible satellite images, not to mention the spin associated with tropical storm Tammy right there. We can also see that low level flow coming in from the northeast across the greater Antilles, Cuba, even Jamaica, which explains all of the northeasterly flow, the winds, not to mention the cloud cover, especially on the northeastern side of the island, spilling into sections of the southern portion of the island. That's the setup right now, that's the weather pattern. And we can also see a lot of clouds across the main development region associated with multiple tropical waves and troughs, not to mention the intertropical convergence zone. We'll be talking more about the weather across the Caribbean later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall throughout the day across sections of northern and eastern Jamaica, also spilling into sections of southern Jamaica, especially during the afternoon. And in northern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes: Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Eastern Jamaica, we're talking about Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland, St. Thomas. And southern parishes, spilling into southern parishes, we're talking about St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. And the western parishes of maybe Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 5:50 a.m., a post was made on our social media platform Twitter, not to mention Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you have one of those platforms, please ensure that you follow us there. So we can see that yes, definitely we had some amount of early morning rainfall across the northeastern portion of the island. Look at those greens, they represent light to moderate rainfall across sections of Portland, St. Mary right there. And skipping ahead to another post, we can also see the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing that we had some amount of rainfall across sections of Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. Definitely sections of the corporate area had some amount of rainfall for today. And if you don't know by now, we have a partnership with this YouTube channel, See Jamaica, and they actually show live feeds from areas in Kingston and St. Andrew, from downtown, uptown, Halfway Tree, Crossroads. So if you'd like to see what's happening, you can go and visit that YouTube channel. So that definitely confirms the rainfall that we had in the morning across the Jamaica area. And we even have confirmation from our commenters confirming the rainfall. I believe Reed stating raining in St. Andrew, Shawnee Reynolds raining. Then on our Instagram page, we had Panton Giovanni stating Spanish Town having heavy rainfall. And even Banner Paula stating raining in Spanish Town. Brown Ice Chain raining in Spanish Town again. Sassy Nick raining in St. Andrew. Berry 22 raining heavy in Mullines Road now. And we can see that this post was made as well in the afternoon hours, highlighting the infrared satellite images showing some amount of high cold cloud tops as indicated by those blues and greens, not to mention the sparkling white that represents some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. Definitely had some amount of thunderstorm activity across sections of St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew, not to mention sections of St. Catherine in the afternoon hours. So that indeed confirms what we saw on the predicted maps. And we can see Portmore Bell stating Greater Portmore getting the shower, Simone stating St. Andrew is getting a lot of rain. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see a close-up of those clouds coming in from the northeast across the island. Then they're piling up right there across the eastern and central portion of the island. Definitely a section of Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, as well as St. Thomas was where majority of this rainfall took place. And we can see that right now by recording our majority of these thunderstorms have died down. But we still have some amount of rainfall to come later on tonight, especially across the northeast. we can see that right now we do have some amount of leftover showers right there off to the south of Jamaica. And if we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map indeed confirms the rainfall that we had across the island for today. Definitely a section of some northern parishes spilling into sections of some southern parishes, and we can see the southern parishes clearly. Definitely a section of St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, as well as St. Thomas. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by 3 a.m. tonight, later on in Saturday morning, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston, remaining the same in Montego Bay at 26 degrees Celsius. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we're starting to see a more widespread coverage of the below average temperatures across the island. This is valid for 18th and Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, maybe getting up to 2, maybe even 3 degrees Celsius below average temperatures. And we know the average temperatures for the month of October in Jamaica is about 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 89 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 31 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from, let's say, 28 to 31 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that some of that orange and red colors that we had yesterday have now dissipated, having more yellows, which explains the rainfall that we got today. So we're on the drier end of the scale. We can see the key at the bottom: yellows, oranges, reds, and what's within those reds, the more intense as we go to the right. We do see a lot of dry air across the Gulf of Mexico, northwestern Caribbean, off the east coast of the United States. Some of this dry air seeping into Jamaica, but we're on the edge of it right now. Let's just take a look at the Saharan dust forecast. We still see all of that Saharan dust right there across Africa, not to mention sections of the main development region. And even if this makes it into the Caribbean next week, it's gonna be dwindling or dissipating by then. Either way, this is valid for 2 p.m. on Saturday, and we see the Caribbean and Jamaica are in the clear. Taking a look at the wave forecast, we can see that the highest waves still surround the island from the north to the east, as indicated by those blue colors. They represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, while it's the lighter blue colors across the southern portion of the island. That's where we're going to be getting the least amount of wave height, or the low wave heights, averaging up to 0.5 per meter. And that's due to the fact that the winds are still coming in from the northeast for tomorrow, averaging anywhere from 10 to maybe even up to 20 knots. So definitely it's going to be windy on the north coast still, not so much on the south coast, which explains why the waves are so weak. Alright, so if we take a look at the wind shear map, we can see that that trough is doing a number across the Caribbean. We were getting more of a northerly or northwesterly kind of flow with the upper level winds. For tomorrow, it's going to be coming in from the southwest, and that would more favor a section of the northern portion of the island, not so much the southern portions of the island. So it's definitely going to be a different kind of day tomorrow in terms of the weather. Not that drastic, not that rainy. The only notable amount of rainfall that we can see is especially across the northeast as usual, and we see it mainly in the afternoon hours. This is valid for 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. And we do see the blues that represent rainfall across the east, so definitely a section of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, and we can't rule out something spilling into sections of some southern parishes, maybe sections of Kingston and St. Andrew. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, the accumulated precipitation forecast is a bit more relaxed. If we remember the posts that were made on our social media platforms, most of them went out to Friday in terms of the amount of rainfall that was expected. Now it's Saturday. Now we're getting the leftovers, so it's not that robust. We can see the yellows, the oranges that represent close to at least half of an inch of rainfall on the Euro model. GFS, maybe a little bit more than a half of an inch, up to 0.65 of an inch of rainfall across the very same spots. Sections of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas. And keep in mind that both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be receiving rainfall across section of the island, even if it's not going to be all portion of the island. We're in the month of October. We'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we get into our dry period from December to April. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see lots of afternoon thunderstorms across sections of Venezuela, just as predicted, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, section of Belize coming in from the east. You can also see that rainfall across sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, majority of the Windward and Leeward Islands. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the Leeward Islands, we can see the tremendous amount of rainfall that they're getting right now, anywhere from Puerto Rico eastward, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, sections of Barbados, or the waters around Barbados right now, sections of Grenada definitely getting an some amount of rainfall. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some of that rainfall right there across sections of Venezuela, some rainfall coming in from the northeast, just like what we saw in the satellite images across sections of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras as well. As relates to the temperature forecast, majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on some average temperatures, maybe slightly average across the eastern Caribbean, below average across the central and northwestern Caribbean right there. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast, 2 p.m. on Saturday has majority of the Caribbean in the clear, with all of the Saharan dust right there across the eastern and central main development region. As it relates to the wave forecast, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting anywhere from 0.5 meter to about up to 1.5 meter wave height, while it's the areas closest to the open waters of the Atlantic, that's where the highest waves should be, as indicated by the purples and reds, averaging up to 2 meter wave heights or more. And we see the consensus on both the U and the GFS models, and that's due to the fact that the winds are going to be strongest across those areas, while the Caribbean should be averaging anywhere from 5 to at least close to 20 knot winds coming in from the southeast across the Windward Islands, and across the Greater Antilles, majority of it's coming in from the northeast. We can also see that area of low pressure starting to spin right there across the southwestern Caribbean, associated with that possible tropical cyclone formation zone that the Hurricane Center is watching. And we can see a lot of rainfall, keeping in mind that both of these maps from the year and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. And we do see that we have some amount of rainfall, some isolated showers anywhere from Cuba southward to the Bahamas, section of Haiti, Jamaica, maybe section of the Cayman Islands, and we see something similar on the GFS mall. But where we see the more rainfall is where we get even more colorful. The oranges, the reds, the purples, the grays within those purples, definitely some tremendous rainfall that could trigger some flash flooding, especially across the northeastern Caribbean. So definitely sections of Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, St. Bart, section of Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, section of Barbados, maybe some isolated shores for Trinidad and Tobago, sections of French Guiana and Suriname looking to be on the dry side, maybe the coastal areas of Guyana getting in on some amount of rainfall, section of Venezuela definitely some rainfall, Soto, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, sections of El Salvador, Guatemala and Belize as usual. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are showing the same thing. And we know that when they're showing something similar like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.